Welcome everybody. This is my third day of this Go Live challenge that we've been doing. For those of you who didn't hear about it or whatever, doesn't really matter. The gist is we're going to go live every single day for 2 weeks, just talking about questions that people have and all that. This is my first time where I'm incorporating TikTok, so welcome aboard if you are watching now from TikTok, and hi to everybody else. Thank you for joining. I'm trying out a new software today, a new setting of my software anyway. So I'm going to see if I can get the comments to show up. Let me see. All right. Well, I've got the comments, but I don't know if you guys can see them or not. All right. Well, anyway, hitting me up with the questions right away. I appreciate that. I got some questions coming in from all different sources, and I'm trying to get them all shown on the same thing. But I'll just read the question for you before I answer it so you know who I'm talking to. All right. So Cohen Hopkins, you asked if I would fly the A10. Love the A10. That is an awesome jet. I didn't put it on my list. It wasn't at the top of my list anyway when I was in pilot training. The top one on my list was the F-16. I was very fortunate to get the F-16. And not because the A-10 is not cool, it's just not what I chose to fly. I've always thought the A-10 was a really cool airplane, and now it's getting retired, so I probably will never have a chance to fly it, but it's still a pretty quick one. M. Salim 97, what is the age limit for an Air Force pilot for the F-16? So the age limits are not specific to aircraft. To join and become a pilot in the Air Force, the age limit is 33 years old by the time you get selected for pilot training, which means you need to be through your college degree and be commissioning and applying for pilot training by age 33. If you're selected by age 33, then you're within that window. As far as how long can you fly for, really it's till age 65, but most people don't stay around that long or fly for that long. So I chose to retire recently, and I'm not 65 yet. So, all right. Sean VM01, your dream is to be a pilot in the Air Force. You're currently from Canada. Can I tell you the steps to becoming a pilot? I can. So, first of all, what's up, Canada? My dad is Canadian, and so I'm part Canadian. To become a U.S. Air Force pilot, you need to be a U.S. citizen. So, if you are currently in Canada, you would need to move to the United States, get a green card. Then once you've had a green card for the correct amount of time, become a full citizen. Now, just to join the US military, you need to have a green card, but you don't have to be a full citizen. But if you want to fly, you need to, and that takes some time. I'm not an expert on that, so I can't tell you exactly, but you can check it out at USCIS website. But my advice to you would be check out the RCAF. The Canadian Air Force is really cool. I've flown with them many times. And yeah, I would check out the Canadian Air Force there if you're already living in Canada. They just recently signed an agreement to buy the F-35. They've already got the F-18 and a bunch of other airplanes. So that's a great Air Force, great opportunities there. All right. What's up, everybody who's just joining in from Slovakia? What's up, Slovakia? I've got a good friend from there. It's 2:45 in the morning in Belgium, and you're not sleeping. That's your choice, but welcome from Belgium. What is it like flying the F-16? Is it smooth? That's from Military Z10X. It is. It's very smooth. I've commented on this, and I'll just kind of describe it right now. But in the F-16, we've got the side stick, right? And that's how you control. It's not the traditional where your stick is in the middle on the floor, like in an F-18, like you saw in Top Gun. So we sit up in the cockpit, and it depends on which camera angle you're looking at here, but you may not be able to see what I'm showing you. You sit up in the cockpit, and you've got the stick on your right hand and the throttle on your left hand. The stick in the F-16 doesn't move. It moves like maybe a millimeter, quarter of an inch, something like that. And so it's just pressure sensitive. And what's cool about that is that it feels almost like it's an extension of yourself, because you just think about turning the jet or moving the jet and it moves. So I'm flying straight and level, and I want to turn left. So what I do is I lean on the stick, just a little bit of pressure, maybe like 2 pounds of pressure. The jet will roll up on its edge, and then I pull back on the stick to start that turn. And all of that happens without conscious thought, because once you've been doing it for a while, it just becomes like an extension of yourself, and it only requires a little bit of pressure. Now, if you roll up quickly and pull the stick as hard as you can, you will, like that, you'll go to 9 Gs. And once you're at 9 Gs, it's pretty intense. I posted some video of me in the centrifuge. You can see my face. It ages me like 40 years in 10 seconds. So anyway, that's what it feels like. The jet itself flies really smooth. The controls feel like an extension of yourself, and it's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to jump down to, let's see. A bunch of people are saying kiss camera, and I'm sorry, but I don't know what that means. So anyway, I'm going to go have to check that out. I guess I'm the old guy in the room who doesn't know what that means on the chat, but hi everybody. So thanks for joining. Let's see. Slovakia just got their F-16s. That's very cool. I can't wait to see them in action too. I went out to Bulgaria actually when they purchased their F-16s and helped them set up their training program, but I was not part of the Slovakian one. So that's really cool. I hope you guys are doing awesome, and that'd be a very cool experience to come out and help you guys fly. Did I go to the Air Force Academy? I did not. So in order to be a pilot in the Air Force, you need to commission as an officer. There's 3 different ways to commission as an officer. You can join through the Academy, through ROTC, or through OTS, Officer Training School. I went through ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, and the way that works is you go to a regular college, you do ROTC classes as part of your university degree, and then when you finish, you commission as an officer in the Air Force. And so that's what I did. I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida, and studied engineering and applied for pilot training in my final year, my senior year there. Got a pilot training slot, and the whole time I thought, if I don't end up flying and I just do engineering, that'd be cool too. So if you're thinking of doing that right now, find a degree that you also enjoy, and that way if you don't end up going the pilot route or something happens along the way, it's no big deal. You've got something to fall back on. And I always thought that being an engineer would be pretty fun, pretty good career to have as well. Oh man. Comments are getting filtered by the machine, so I don't know what people are saying there, but welcome everybody. Respect from Ireland. What is up, Ireland? I've been there many times. We spent a month there last summer. Beautiful country, love it there. The F-35s from Luke are refueling over Phoenix right now. That's great. I've refueled around Phoenix many times. It's a pretty fun experience. When you're air refueling, you're not really looking around, so you're not looking at the city in the moment that you're air refueling, but when it's not your turn and you're just waiting, you're hanging out on the wing of the tanker, and you're just flying probably like 10 to 20 feet off the wing of the tanker, which we don't consider close formation. So you can look around a little bit. The closer you are in formation, the more focused you are on the airplane next to you. So when we're in true close formation and we're flying just off each other's wingtip with about 3 feet or less of spacing, you're pretty much focused on the airplane next to you fully. When you can relax a little bit more when you spread that formation out and you're at like 20 feet, maybe even out to 100 feet. It just allows you to look around a little bit more and spend less time focused on the airplane next to you and more time doing other tasks, like maybe running your radar, or maybe it's just a beautiful night like tonight and you wanted to check out the city of Phoenix. All right. What am I flying? So I just retired, I keep saying just, but it was in August, so it's 2 months now. I retired from 20 years flying the F-16 in the Air Force, and so that was an awesome experience. I've flown many, many other airplanes over the years. I kind of lost count of how many different ones, and so now I fly for fun. Last week I flew a Cirrus, I fly King Air, Cessnas, all kinds of stuff. I told you guys yesterday that me and a friend, he's still active duty F-35 pilot, we're starting a flying club at one of the local airports, so more to follow on that soon. But if you're in the Phoenix area, you can come out and join us and do some flying with us out there, whether you're brand new to it, wanting to learn, whether you have 1,000 hours and you're trying to get 1,500 for the airlines, whatever that might be. We'll welcome whoever wants to come out and join us. Alan Rated Doctor, you're working on your OTS application and you are an engineer. That is awesome, man. Congratulations. With an engineering degree, you're very competitive for pilot training. It's not required. You can have any degree and get selected to be a pilot, but with an engineering degree, the Air Force is really keen on those. And so later on in your career, if you want to go to test pilot school or be an astronaut or something, it's required to have an engineering degree. So I recommend if it's something that you're into and interested in, then you should look into it and study it. I didn't have perfect grades. I had about a 3.1 GPA maybe in engineering, but yeah, I was able to get a pilot slot out of there. And I have friends who studied all kinds of different things, history and all different stuff. So you can really study anything, but engineering does help. Kind Pizza, you asked the difference between the Air National Guard and the Air Force Reserve. Yeah, so we have different components of flying in the Air Force, or really in all of our branches, but there's the active duty United States Air Force, then there's the United States Air Force Reserve, and then there's the Air National Guard. So Air National Guard is state by state, and they fly many of the same airplanes. There are Air National Guard units flying F-16s, F-15s, F-35s. You actually work for the state itself. You can still go on deployments and do things like that. You still do exercises with active duty Air Force, but you actually live in the same state. You don't get reassigned around the world like the U.S. Air Force members do, but you're still flying the same airplane. Our pilot training is the exact same. So when I went through pilot training, there were other students in my class who were part of Air National Guard and some that were going straight into the reserves. When you're a reservist in the Air Force, there's a minimum amount that you need to work, and it's like 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, I think is the minimum. And then many people will work more than that, especially if you're a pilot as a reservist, and especially in the beginning because you want to get good at flying. And so they call it seasoning, and you come in and spend a couple years basically on active orders where you're working every single day flying the airplane to build up your time, to build up your abilities and all of that. But as far as the flying itself, it's pretty much the same. We have reservists and active duty flying next to each other. Yeah, he or she takes that jet, I take this jet. The next day we could swap. We go fly together pretty much every day. So it's another great opportunity if you're interested in flying and you want to check out not only active duty, but you want to look at something that is more local to where you live, like your state for Air National Guard, or maybe you want to check out a reserve position because you want to do something like go be an engineer part-time and a pilot part-time, or you want to fly for someone else part-time. So that's cool. All right, lots of questions coming in. Thanks for the questions tonight. I have only about 5 or 10 minutes left. Last night I mentioned I had to go watch the Suns play, and if any of you watched, the Suns won in overtime by 3. It was awesome. So I said it here first, but they're going to win it all this year. It's pretty cool. All right, is it hard to fly the F-16 from Dovi Dopo? Like with anything, you learn step by step. So if you had no experience and you went out tomorrow and tried to fly the F-16, it would be hard. It would be difficult. You probably would not successfully land it on your first attempt. But once you've trained to it and you get good at it, it's a lot easier to do. And so, yeah, I would say it's hard in the beginning, but like anything, you get good at it, you get used to it, and you stop having to think about it. When things become part of your subconscious, you're able to process tasks a lot faster than having to think about them. And so we spend a ton of time trying to take all of our tasks and make them automatic, like muscle memory. And when you're able to make your task muscle memory, it allows you to use your conscious brain to think about the tactics or the tactical problem that you're trying to solve, because you're not thinking about the actual left hand, right hand, how am I flying this airplane today? WYO Spotter, what's the minimum GPA to become a fighter pilot, and what classes should you take in college? And what's the best way to go to college on a scholarship or a loan? So there is technically, I don't know if there is a minimum GPA. There probably is a minimum. I don't actually know what it is, but I will tell you, you don't need to have a 4.0. The better your grades are, the better your pilot training application is. So definitely work hard on getting good grades. But if you have a 3.1 in engineering, they kind of apply some weight to that versus having a 4.0 in basket weaving, let's say. No offense to anyone who's done basket weaving. Just, I don't know anything about it. It's just an example. So yeah, the Air Force looks at what degree you did and what GPA you got, and they give you some credit for, technical type degrees. What classes should you take in college? Take ones that interest you. If the flying thing doesn't work out for you, what else do you want to do? What do you like doing? And then the Air Force will always determine what the Air Force needs. It will always have the needs of the service, and it will likely put those first. But many times your needs can align with the needs of the service, and that's what worked out for me, was that I really wanted to fly the F-16. They had an F-16 available in the drop night when I got my assignment, and so I was able to get matched to the plane of my choice. So the needs of the Air Force met what I wanted to do, and it all worked out for that. And then the best way to go to college on a scholarship or a loan, it depends on your personal situation. I told you yesterday that I was one of 7 kids. My dad was a carpenter. My mom didn't work. We were, if I wanted to go to college, I needed a way to pay for it myself because we couldn't afford to pay for it. And so for me, I knew that I needed to find a way to pay for college, and the Air Force scholarship was a good way for me. So I applied to all different scholarship opportunities, and I got a ROTC scholarship. So it's a great way to do it. Highly recommend it if you have the opportunity. So go ahead and apply and check it out online. All right, people have asked how much money I make. Technically, the amount of money that the military makes is public record, so anyone can look it up. But there are extra pay for a pilot. There's your monthly flight pay. After your initial commitment is up, you can sign on for a bonus. And then, there's also like hazardous duty pay and stuff. So overall, I was happy with my pay as a pilot. You guys, if you follow me for a little bit, you'll know that I'm really passionate about financial freedom. And the reason I am is because I see so many people getting ready to retire, already retired, and they're just not set up for success when they could have been if they had started early and had a plan. And the way I always break it down is this. If you're joining the Air Force or the military right now, I can tell you with 99% accuracy every raise you're going to get, how much money you're going to get for the next 20 years. I could map it out on a sheet of paper for you. So then the decision is yours on how much of that you want to invest, what you want to invest in, and where you want to be at the time of your retirement. And so compounding interest is the thing that wins the day for everybody. $1 invested at 18 is going to be 3 times better than $1 invested 10 years later at age 28. And so if you just put in $100 a month from age 18 to 28, you are likely to retire a millionaire. But if you wait till age 28 and put in $100 for the rest of your life, you'll never hit it. And that's because of compound interest. And the best example of that is look at Warren Buffett. If you look, you can find it online, but Warren Buffett's net worth at each age. And it was when he was like 40 years old, he had a net worth in the millions, but he wasn't the richest man on earth. And 10 years later, he was one of the richest men on earth. And that was the compound interest. It wasn't something magic overnight. It was decades and decades of investing and compound interest. All right, I got time for like 2 more questions, but I got one from TikTok here. The one and only said, how long does a person study their plane after getting assigned to it? That's a great question. So when you first get to pilot training, there's 2 phases. Phase 1 is about 6 months long, and you fly the T6, which is a high-performance turboprop airplane. It's tandem front-back seating. After that, you get tracked to either fighter bombers or heavies and cargos. So I went to fighter bomber track and I flew the T-38, also a 2-seater. This one is a jet engine, a little bit more higher performance. It's the trainer version of the F-5. If you saw Top Gun 1, the airplane in there that they called the MiG-28, that was a T-38 basically, or an F-5 painted black. So after the T-38, then that's 6 months, and that's when you get your assignment to which airplane you're going to. From there, you go to the specific base where you train. I went to train on F-16s. I went to Luke Air Force Base in Arizona to train on F-16s. And once I got there, it took about 6 to 9 months to get through F-16 training. Most people now get through in 6 months. And then when you graduate, you are a qualified F-16 pilot, but you are not a combat mission ready F-16 pilot. So then you go to your first operational assignment, and then usually a few months later, after that is when you become a fully combat mission ready, like full up pilot. You begin as a wingman, and then after you gain experience, you go through an upgrade to become a flight lead. And that's kind of the general progression. After being a flight lead for a while, some places even do a 2-ship flight lead, then a 4-ship flight lead. And then after you've done that for a while, you can go through the instructor pilot upgrade. And so basically, you, as your experience grows, I refer to it as your bubble of awareness around your airplane. When it leaves your cockpit and you're aware of things going on around you, that's when you upgrade to a flight lead. And when you're aware of everything going on in your wingman's cockpit as well as your own, that's when you're ready to be a 4-ship flight lead. And then when you have the awareness of your formation and other formations flying with you, and you can keep track of a dozen airplanes, what everybody's doing in the sky, you're ready to go through the instructor pilot upgrade. So that's kind of the progression there. But fully combat ready pilot is about 9 months after getting to your F-16. The entire pipeline is a little over 2 years long to get through. Cool. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining tonight. I'm gonna go live every day for the next 2 weeks, so if I didn't get to your question, it was not intentional, but I will check them out. I'll look back at some of these questions tonight and hopefully have them for tomorrow, and I'll try to grab some more questions. If you join tomorrow, ask your question. I'll try to get the first couple questions, and then after that, it's hard to keep track. But thank you everybody for joining. It was awesome to see you all, and I will see you tomorrow on our next live talking about being a fighter pilot. It was awesome. Later.